What's going on, guys? Thanks to those that are joining me live and to those that will be joining me on archive. Make sure you hit the like button if you like the video. And thanks to the recent subscribers I've been getting recently. Shout out to you guys. Make sure, feel free to send messages, questions my way. You could always send, whether it's video request, you could send to my email, DStyleBoxing@gmail.com. If you're ever interested in doing a collab, you could send me an email there as well. Let me know. You could also send messages to private messaging here on YouTube. All right. Okay. With that said, I wanted to address this, and I thought this was already addressed, but apparently some people just don't listen. Right. So since some people don't listen, I need to address this again. So here I am. Right. Let's go ahead and address, as the title of the video says, why I talk Mayweather versus McGregor on this channel. All right. Look, let me put this really, really simple. Right. Let me kind of lay it out this way. All right. Number one, first of all, when this fight was first being proposed and when this fight, well, before it was signed, even right after it was signed, I was one of the biggest critics here on YouTube of this fight. They called it a joke. They called it all types of things. I still think it's a big mismatch. I still believe it's a circus. I still believe Floyd Mayweather Jr. should destroy Conor McGregor, right? My opinion hasn't changed. And never have I come on here and made arguments that Conor McGregor could win. And I've talked about people breaking down the fight and them claiming that Conor's going to win. And I've told you why I don't believe he's going to win. Right? My opinion on the fight has not changed. I'm making that very, very clear. If I was on here like just to get subs, like saying that Conor McGregor can destroy Floyd or Conor has an excellent chance to win, and giving breakdowns as to why because those types of channels right now are getting a lot of subscribers. Those types of channels right now are because they're telling Conor fans what they want to hear. I'm not doing that. None of that has changed. However, this is not like a normal circumstance or a normal situation where there's a mismatch and I'm saying it's a joke, but everybody knows it. That's not what's going on here. All right? The reason I'm talking about this fight is because there's a lot of demand for talk about this fight. A lot of you guys may know a lot about boxing, and you may understand that this is going to be a one-sided fight. You may already know that. But not everybody follows boxing like that, okay? Not everyone just follows boxing that way. I've had many private messages, even people here in the chat, thanking me for the information I'm putting out there because they're coming from the MMA world. And they're coming from the perspective of the MMA world, not from the boxing world. A lot of you guys are stuck on the boxing bubble. It's where you're stuck. So you believe that everyone who's going to come on here is coming from strictly a strict boxing perspective. That's not always the case, right? And I have a boxing channel that's open for anybody to listen to, and people want to know what boxing fans think about this fight, right? And that's what I'm here to do. If we just say, fuck it, it's a joke of a fight, I'm going to boycott it. I'm not going to talk about it at all. It's a WWE event. Then if you're just vague like that they're not going to take you serious. You have to break down why this fight is going to be one-sided. You got to be able to explain that. And you have to be able to get the arguments as to why McGregor's going to win and not just scoff at these arguments. Let's dive into these arguments head on. I've chosen to do that. Not everyone, look, these videos are not for everybody, okay? I do, boxing stories series. I do live boxing Q&As, right? I do post-fight thoughts about certain fights. Yeah, I talked about Joshua versus Wilder the other day. When I talk about those, the people complaining about the Mayweather McGregor videos, you guys got nothing to say about those other boxing videos. Nothing. But you get this weird knee-jerk reaction when I start talking about this fight. You get this weird knee-jerk reaction. Right now, there's a lot of, whether you like it, whether I like it, whether anybody likes it or not, there is a lot of demand about this fight. All right? There's a lot of people running into these videos. There's a lot of Conor McGregor fans. There's a lot of MMA fans that are just downright curious, and they're trying to understand where the boxing perspective is coming from. And I'm just providing that. I'm not the only one doing it, but I'm providing that boxing perspective. I'm not just scoffing and just, you know, it's easy to do that. And you can choose to do that if you like. No one is forcing me to talk about this Mayweather-McGregor thing, okay? In short, I'm doing it because I want to do it. And it's my channel, and I could do whatever the fuck I want on my channel, all right? In all honesty, I don't have to explain anything outside of that. But here's the reality. Let me tell you why I want to do it. And I've already gone over this, okay? There is a phenomenon going on right now, right? This phenomenon, if you could only get yourselves outside of the boxing bubble, you will realize what is going on. And to me, it is fascinating, okay? Every small poll I see from random people on, because you could do like a little poll on Twitter, every major poll I see, okay, just about any time. Now, these are not scientific polls or anything, but there's all these people that believe in Conor McGregor, that believe Conor McGregor is going to win this fight. Now, 2-3 years from now, nobody's going to admit, okay, that they had Conor McGregor winning this fight. Nobody's going to admit it. But right now, we have, okay, people that have never spoken about boxing or MMA, that have hundreds of thousands of YouTube followers or subscribers or whatever, and hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers, and hundreds of thousands of people following them on Facebook. You have all these people that have never talked boxing, all these celebrities, talking about this fight, all right? And they got Conor McGregor winning. They're saying Conor McGregor is going to win. And some people may say, well, they don't believe that. They're just saying that, but they don't really believe it. No. Look at the Vegas. You know what doesn't lie? The odds. The odds in Vegas don't lie. Okay? The odds are getting closer. There's some boxing, at least allegedly, on some boxing websites, Mayweather by decision, okay, is 2-1 right now. On some betting websites, I'm sorry. Look, Conor, by fight night, Conor's going to be less of an underdog than Adrian Broner was against Mikey Garcia. That is, to me, is that wrong? Yes. Is that inaccurate? Absolutely. Is that stupid? Yes. But is it reality? Unfortunately, yes. There is a huge segment of the population that believes, they're not just saying this, they believe this, that Conor McGregor is going to win this fight. They believe it. They're confident about it. And if they're not confident he's going to win, they believe he has an excellent chance to do it, or he has like they're giving him like a 40% chance to do it. But to some capacity, they believe, they don't know this is a joke. They don't know that this is like a circus. They don't know that. They think this is a fight. To them, this is like Apollo Creed's corner man, okay, after round 6 or whatever round it was, telling Apollo Creed, he don't know this is a damn show. He thinks this is a fight. They think this is a fucking fight. All right? Now they're going to get a rude awakening. You know, but this is fascinating to me. The human behavior occurred. This is not just, oh, it's just the casuals. You know the casuals. It's just the casuals. Oh, the casual. That's not, look, man, this is not your ordinary, the casual situation. It's not. It is not. And the closer we're getting to the fight, this weird phenomenon is happening, okay? Like little by little, even people that maybe they're casual boxing fans or casual MMA fans, they're starting to believe, you know what, maybe McGregor does have a shot. You know, so to a certain degree, this has been marketing genius in the part of the promoters of this fight. In part of Showtime, the McGregor camp, the Mayweather camp, all right? This fight's going to break. People talking all about all this, struggling to sell. This fight's going to break all the records. I'm telling you right now, this fight's going to break all records. Do I believe that this should be the fight that should hold the all-time pay-per-view record? No, I don't. But I can't change that. I just can't. Okay, I'm not controlling the wave. I'm not. I'm just on the boat. I'm not controlling the wave. I'm just on the boat. Right? That's all I'm doing. You ever heard that song by Audio Slave? I am the highway. Okay. Well, but it's the opposite for me. I'm the rolling wheel. I'm not the highway. Okay. It's the opposite for me. I'm the carpet ride. I'm okay. I'm not the sky. It's the opposite for me than the message of the song. Okay. I get it. Oh, it's just, I don't get it. I mean, it's a dude making his professional debut, and yeah, logically speaking, you're making a lot of sense, and that's the way I thought about it at first. I was shocked. Okay, I am still shocked when I hear people give their assessments of this fight. There's even people that say Mayweather's going to win, and then they say but, and then they follow it up with some ridiculous bullshit, right? Look, I'm just one person. Okay, I'm just one person with a YouTube channel. That's all I am, right? But, you know, I could tell, let's say 200 people watch the video. Those 200 people could tell one person each, and then those people could tell somebody. As long as you're revealing the truth to people, that's the type of message you want out. Okay. And what I will say is this. Okay. Of this chaos that is this damn fight, in the midst of this freaking circus that is this fight. Yes, the circus come down, folks. But in the midst of all this, let me say this. Also has come opportunity. Well, what opportunity is that? The opportunity to educate people. All right? To educate people. That's why I took time, along with my good friend Appetite over there, to do that video about the boxing glove. Educate people about the boxing glove. Because if you know, you remember when, like, you probably learned this in what, like 4th grade, right? When they start writing essays about shit. Okay, remember when they started having you write essays in school, and they would be like, "Tell me about George Washington." George Washington was the first president, and if that's all you said, you would fail. Because you would be asked the first president, what? Tell me, like, if I don't know. Tell someone who doesn't know anything about George Washington, right? And write me an essay about it. Not all my videos are going to be for someone who already knows a lot of what I'm talking about. You may know a lot about the boxing love. How there's people that know more than me about what I'm talking about. But at the end of the day, I am directing my attention to a certain audience that is there. Okay? There are people that, want to learn, a little more about boxing. They want to, even if they're confident that McGregor's going to win, they're still looking into it. They want to learn more about this boxing thing because they want to really find out what is their boy really getting into, okay? And I've had several of them already, send me private messages and ask me questions and ask me to elaborate about this. And I found this interesting. Can you tell me more about this? So at the end of the day, it's these videos, if they're not for you, all right, you don't have to listen to them. No, nobody's forcing you to listen to my Mayweather versus McGregor video. Nobody's forcing you to watch it August 26th, but I know you're going to watch it. I know you're going to watch the fight. I don't care what anybody says. You motherfuckers are going to watch the fight. Now, you may act like you're not. And if you don't watch it, you're going to be Googling that shit, trying to find out who won, like around the time where you know the fight should be over. And you know you are. Okay? Some of you may not title your videos Mayweather McGregor, but I'll listen to them and you'll start mentioning and talking about that fight. So don't be a bunch of hypocrites either. But if it's bothering you so much, I mean, I don't like to say this to subscribers, but you couldn't sub if you want, right? You couldn't sub and sub back after the fight if you want, okay? And if you don't, then whatever, man. I'm not gonna take it personal, right? It's all good. Yeah, but the real boxing fans want to talk about this fight. Says, where are you coming up with this conclusion? Like who says who? You, whoever X is. Just because you don't want to talk about it? I mean, you're obviously, to a certain degree, I mean, you're intrigued enough to click on the videos and shit and listen to them. But that's my piece about that. Okay, that's my piece with that. I'm not going to stop talking about the fight. Like I'm just letting you know now. The talk about that fight isn't going to stop. Okay. I've been listening a lot to MMA analysts. I've been listening a lot to people that know nothing about either sport. I've been listening a lot to boxing fans about this. Let me say this, and I'm going to be flat out honest about this. Notice my opinion about this fight being a mismatch has not changed. That has not changed. I've not wavered about that. I'm not going to change my opinion about that. But some of you dudes sound ignorant as shit. Like I'm going to keep it real. A lot of you boxing fans, you sound very ignorant, right? And because you may say the same thing I'm saying, that it's a mismatch, but you'll also say things like, Conor doesn't even know how to throw a proper punch. Well, that's not true, right? That's not true at all. Okay. Now, I've broken down the differences between the level that boxers, box at compared to the level that mixed martial artists box at. I've talked to people about, and I've done videos, right? The difference in boxing in Marcus and Queensberry to the modified boxing that you see in mixed martial arts. It's two different worlds. But if you think that Conor McGregor doesn't know how to throw a proper punch, then by all means you're ignorant, right? Like I'm just keeping that shit 100. I'm keeping that 100%, okay? You know, I'm just keeping that real. If Conor McGregor didn't know how to throw a proper punch, he wouldn't have ever landed on Paulie, even though Paulie is an old ass man. It wouldn't have happened. There wouldn't be a photo op about it. Okay. So, like, I'm just saying, okay. A lot of guys don't even watch MMA. Like, I don't watch it like that, which is why I stay away from like breaking down MMA fights and stuff like that. But I know enough to when I hear certain boxing fans talk about it that they're just ignorant. Like, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? When people say, "Oh, these MMA guys," they'll say vague things like they know everything, but they're not good at anything. Like, that's not true. Some of them are, Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts. Okay, some of them are, high-class kickboxers and have won Grand Prix tournaments. Okay, so that is a very vague statement to make. Like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, right? With that said, right? I'm just keeping it real there, right? Now, are some MMA people ignorant as shit? Of course. Okay. When MMA people say shit like, "Oh, those big ass gloves couldn't hurt an MMA fighter," right? I got to keep pointing at the Mike Perry example. I got to keep. That's an ignorant statement. So there's ignorance on both sides. Anyway, with that said, let's talk about this phenomenon. Let's talk about what the hell is going on, right? Let's talk about this. First of all, this fight, okay, trying to find the right words for it here. It's going to be one of those fights, right, where, like back in the day, like, I don't know if it still happens or not, because I don't follow music like that no more, but back in the day when there would be a bunch of like one-hit wonders, like everybody would be into a song from an artist nobody ever fucking knew about. And then that artist will flame out, and all of a sudden, a year, 2 years later, you can't find anybody that loved that song. Like, you just can't find anybody. Like, it's just like, you just can't find no one that was into that song. This Conor McGregor fight, and I could tell in the language that people use after the fight, okay, after the fight's over and we move on, I guarantee you, okay, unless it's a close family member of yours where you know for sure, but aside from that, you're not going to ever find a stranger out in the street that will admit to you that they had Conor McGregor winning that fight. You're not going to be able to find anyone, okay, that was saying Conor McGregor was going to win that fight. In fact, a bunch of YouTube channels are going to never talk about boxing and MMA ever again, right? A bunch of YouTubers and Twitter, what do you call people on Twitter? Tweeters? I don't know. Twitter users, okay, Facebook users, right? They're going to disappear. Like all those trolls you're seeing, a lot of them are going to disappear, right? You're not going to hear from them anymore. It's going to be like the rapture, like all of a sudden, all these people yelling on the top of their lungs, that Mayweather's going to lose. All the 49-1 posts that you're seeing all over the internet, all of a sudden, those people are going to disappear. You know how many there's channels on here that talk politics. That's it. And they're selling 49-1 t-shirts with slogans that say that's racist, right? Like they're making money off of this. It's kind of crazy, but they are, right? So what's interesting to me is someone with a straight face telling me that Conor McGregor is going to win and addressing that. See, to me, that's fascinating. But the fact that there's so many of them is even more fascinating. That it's fascinating to me. And that's why I talk about it. Right? And yes, I'm going to continue. You know, when someone gives a stupid breakdown, of course, yes, it's become a thing I'm doing. I'm going to talk about that breakdown. I'm going to address that breakdown. I'm going to do it. It's not going to stop. You remember that video with that dude that was counting the money? The shit don't stop, man. The shit don't stop. I ain't going to stop. The only difference is the police ain't going to show up at the end and arrest me. That's the only difference. But the shit ain't going to stop. Right? And it's not about, I don't have to say anything. DStyleBoxing, okay, telling people, oh, don't buy this fight, is not going to stop one person. It's not going to prevent one person from buying the fight. Right? And who the fuck am I to tell any grown-ass person what to spend their money on? People can do whatever the fuck they want with their money. So I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, don't buy the fight. Fuck that fight. And then people are like, well, what about Canelo, Gennady Golovkin? We're going to have a whole month to talk about that fight. We're going to have a whole month to talk about that fight. Yes, that's a better fight. Yes, it is. I've said that. It's a better fight. But, all right, here's the but. It's not the intricacies of the boxing fight that interests me when it comes to Mayweather versus Conor. That's not what interests me. That's not what's intriguing to me. All right? It's the human behavior, okay, that intrigues me. That intrigues me. Look, man, if Conor beats Floyd, they're going to make a movie about this. There'll be a movie within 3 years about this shit. Out in theaters, right? And I could picture the fucking the previews for that movie too. Nobody believed he can do it. Dum dum. Everybody doubted him. Dum dum. The boxing world scoffed at him. Dum 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 dum. They'll show like boxing fans laughing. But one man was determined. Like, they will make a fucking movie about it. Like, it will happen. It would happen. It will happen. If Conor wins, he's not going to win, but if he wins, right? If Floyd wins, it's just another day in the office. We all move on with our lives, and that's it, right? Nothing. They're not going to make a movie about Mayweather beating McGregor. That's not going to happen, right? It ain't gonna. They didn't make a movie about Apollo beating Rocky. It wasn't about Apollo the movie, was it? No. Now, what else interests me about this fight? And I said this months ago, when you look at it at a macro scale, what interests me about this fight? The interesting thing, like I said, with this chaos, with this circus, will come opportunity. Opportunity. Right? And look, I like James Toney. He's one of the best of all time. But the reality is, the moment James Toney, but before that bell rang in the octagon, there was a lot of boxing fans that were saying, oh, you don't understand. I mean, James Toney his hands are too fast. He's going to catch Randy Couture. Now, you're not going to find any of them now. It's the same thing I'm telling you. No one's going to admit, oh, yeah, I had James Toney winning that fight. No, nobody's going to admit that today. But I remember the boxing forums, man. Like, I remember the YouTube videos. A lot of them got deleted, right? A lot of those people disappeared. But those people say, no, just pure boxing works better in the octagon than mixed martial arts does. That they were making that argument, okay? Very similar too. Like, oh, James Toney's going to move in a way that Randy Couture's not used to, and it's just dumb shit. And that shut up a lot of people, and that's kind of what's going to happen August 26th, right? That's kind of a good segment of them are going to shut the fuck up already, right? That's what's going to happen, right? That's why I say it's going to be a rude awakening. It's going to be a rude awakening, folks. But this is at a much grander scale, right? At a much grander scale. This is, as I've called it, boxing on trial. That's what this is. No, it's not. It's just Mayweather McGregor selling a bullshit fight. That's true. Okay, I'm not saying it's not a bullshit fight. Okay, I already told you how I feel about the fight itself. But this is boxing on trial. You may not see that. And you may be using logic to come up with that conclusion. So I'm not going to take away from that. But here's the but. How you personally feel as an educated boxing fan is irrelevant to how the public is going to feel. Right? Let me say, well, that doesn't matter to me. Well, that's fine. But boxing is on trial right now. Okay? Right now, you got guys like, they're trying to be unbiased or whatever, but I could hear it in their tone. Okay? When Teddy Atlas said, Conor McGregor, I don't even know if this guy could beat a journeyman boxer. Now, it depends. What do you mean by a journeyman boxer, right? Mike Perry lost to, and I hate to pick on poor Mike Perry this way, I really do, but he didn't ask for this. Like, I'm sure he's a great guy, but I'm sorry, I got to use him as an example. Okay, but Mike Perry lost to a journeyman boxer. He got knocked out. Platinum Mike Perry, look him up. He's like ranked number 14th in the middleweight division right now in the UFC, right? Knocking guys out and shit. And for you MMA fans, I don't make shit up on this channel. Mike Perry, Platinum Mike Perry, look him up. He's in the UFC, and look up Mike Perry boxing match. Just do yourself a favor and do that. You can also go to my channel. I did a video about that too. Right? Just keeping it 100. But we need, this fight is intriguing, but not for the reasons that maybe other people are intrigued by. This is boxing on trial. In no other sport could this happen. It's you couldn't get, like, it's not. How can you get arguably the best fighter in our sport and you just throw a dude with no professional fights, and then the majority of the public, or a good amount of them, believe that this dude stands a shot to beat Floyd? Some of them don't even believe he has a shot. They believe him winning is imminent. Well, what does that mean? They're questioning, okay, the authenticity of the sport, the legitimacy of the sport. They're questioning how hard boxing really is, right? They're calling it a piece of cake sport. And back to the fighters, a guy like Matt Serra going out there saying, well, going 12 rounds is a piece of cake for Conor. He's used to going 5 full rounds where you got to grapple and do all this other shit. Boxing should be easy for him. You got other guys like Kenny Florian saying, Teddy Atlas should watch some of us train. We have competitive sparring sessions with pro boxers, but what I hear in that undertone is they think they can do what boxers do. And I don't mean learn how to box. Anybody can learn how to box, right? If you're dedicated, you can learn how to box. But learning how to box You know, it's kind of like anybody could learn how to run. Everybody knows how to run, right? But not everybody could be a fucking sprinter. And you know, not everybody could be Usain Bolt. So yeah, learning how to box is one thing. Sparring with pros. Pros could mean anything. Okay? What do you mean pros? So what does that mean? Like that could mean anything. But they believe, like, you know, I remember Pat Middleton was like calling out like Winky Wright in a boxing fight. Like it's ridiculous. He would have gotten schooled. Now, I am a show and prove type of guy. Right? That's what I am. Okay, I'm a show and prove type of guy. That's what I am. So I don't want to tell everybody that Conor McGregor doesn't stand a shot against Floyd anymore. I don't want to tell them anymore. I'd rather them just see it for themselves. Okay? I'd rather them experience it for themselves. I ain't worried about anything. I ain't worried about it. Let's do it. Fuck it. Right? Yeah, but you know that. Look, man. This is not the channel to come to and be like, oh, you're just a Mayweather fan. You're just justifying this fight for Floyd. And just yesterday, I was on Blood Boxing's channel tearing down Floyd Mayweather's resume. Okay? Just yesterday. Just yesterday. Right? Just the other day. I'm not a Mayweather fanboy. Right? I'm not. But I know it's going to whoop Conor's ass. I also know that a lot of the things that these cats, like, let me put it this way. Right? I was seeing this video, right? This montage. And you guys should check it out if you haven't already. If you want. Of MMA fighters giving their opinion on this fight. Okay? And what I'm saying is this. Some MMA fighters kept it real. Okay? They admit it. They're going for Conor. They hope Conor pulls it off. But, hey, this is Mayweather's thing. He's going to take care of business. Okay? I would say a majority of them kind of gave that assessment. But I remember there was this one female fighter. I don't even know who she is, okay? This was literally her breakdown, right? Well, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, Conor's going to try and knock him out, you know, and then Mayweather's just going to run the whole time. But I don't think Mayweather could do anything to him, but he might outbox him. What does that mean? He won't do anything to him, but he will outbox. What does that mean? If he outboxes you, then that literally means he hit the other guy more times than the other guy hit him. Right? Because you can't win a fight if you don't throw punches unless you're Willie Pep or some shit. Apparently, he won a round without throwing a punch or landing a punch, whatever it was. Right? Now, I'll keep it real. We might see a round. We might actually... Floyd might win a round without throwing a punch. That might actually happen. Like, you know, if Conor McGregor's missing all wild, like by a mile, and Mayweather's just making him look silly in there, and Conor doesn't land anything, even though he's the one being the aggressor, but he's not landing anything, and Mayweather's just looking to look stupid, Mayweather might win a round without that. Who knows? But anyway, just a lot of these breakdowns, man, and there's some that are even saying like, "Oh yeah." What I keep hearing this narrative of, oh, boxers, they're not used to our range, you know. So when I box, you know, pro boxers, it takes them a while to kind of figure out my range. Well, let me say this. Well, we're going to test this out, aren't we? Look, I know. I've seen a bunch of sparring where this has happened. Or, look, man, Okay. First of all, the funny thing about sparring, right? I don't care how serious the sparring is. It's not an actual fight. Okay. That's number one. Number two. Number two. This trying to figure out the range argument. I keep hearing that. You know, I wonder why Mike Perry couldn't. Poor Mike Perry, man. But I wonder why he couldn't, confuse, and use that range against that journeyman boxer that knocked him out. I wonder why that didn't happen. And I also want you to remember that a boxing fight is 12 rounds. So if you say it takes them about 2-3 rounds to figure it out, well, what are you saying? Once you figure it out, you're done? If the argument is it takes them a while to figure it out, and once they figure it out, it's a wrap, then it's not a really good style. It's not a good style for boxing if once they figure it out, it's a wrap, right? Anyway, let me say this. I'm going to get to the chat in a moment, by the way. It's letting you guys know. I'm getting to the chat in a moment, right? Hold your horses. Keep leaving them comments. If you're listening to archive, leave those comments. If you're listening to this video, please thumbs up. Thumbs up. Come on, thumbs it up. But I will say this, okay? I'll say this. And I honestly believe this. The people saying that this fight does not interest them, right? You ready for this? And I'm sorry, I got to call it. The people saying that they're not interested in this fight or hearing about this fight are lying, right? They're lying. If that was true, they wouldn't come on my channel in the comment section in the chat telling me to stop talking about this damn fight, right? But why? They're saying stop listening to it. How does that mean? Because, like me, when I'm not interested in something, I don't constantly click on it and then tell people to stop talking about it, right? That's all I know. Like, why aren't you guys looking up, I don't know, K1 kickboxing right now? Because you're not interested in it right now, right? Right. Now, if you went to every K1 kickboxing video and started telling people to stop talking about it, what do you think they're going to think? They're going to be like, well, what the fuck? Like, then don't listen then. Then don't listen then, right? And if I'm wrong, then prove me wrong then, right? Then prove me wrong. Challenge yourself and don't comment on my channel, right? Challenge yourself and don't mention this fight at all in any video ever, even though you guys, too many dudes are sneaking their thoughts about this fight on videos that don't have the title Mayweather Conor, right? Because they don't want to, because, there's some dudes on here, like I'm talking about the boxing community, right? They want to talk about this fight, but they've been in this groupthink mentality where they're telling each other like, this fight's a joke, and I can't believe people are talking about this fight, right? So no, they don't want to do a video with a title Mayweather Conor or Mayweather McGregor. They don't want to do a video with that title, right? Because they've been telling all their friends that this fight's a joke and this is it, this is that. So they'll do other videos titled something else, and then they'll start talking about the fight. Like, don't mention the fight. All right? The way I feel, right? I feel like boxing's on trial. That's how I feel right now, right? And now this is not going to be decided by a jury. This is not going to be decided by an election. Okay, this is going to be decided in the ring, right? And I'm not trying, and I'm not necessarily playing, devil's advocate per se, but I'm just being an analyst, and I'm trying to in the best way DStyle can, right? The best way I can. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I'm the most knowledgeable. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying in the best way I can. I am here to try to educate as many people as possible. And there is an audience of people that want to know what I need to say, what you guys want to say, okay? Because they're curious and they want to know, right? No, not everyone follows boxing religiously every day and talks boxing all the time. So no, they're not going to know a lot about boxing. But because of this fight, right, since it's going to be a boxing rules fight, right, they want to educate themselves a little more about what Conor McGregor is going to get himself into, right? And that's it. Cool? Capiche? No, but DStyle. No, but nothing. No, but there's no buts, right? No buts. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go. Let's go. I don't even know. I see a bunch of caps and shit. Like I don't even know what the hell's going on in this chat. I like to wait sometimes for the chat. Let me tell you why, and it's not because I'm not ignoring you guys. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and I always try to get to them, right? But while it could be fun live when you're answering questions, when somebody listens to the video later, like when you're not live, and they're not looking at the chat, they can't see what's in the chat, right? A lot of times I try my best to say so-and-so saying this, so-and-so saying that, and I try to answer it, but people can get lost, okay? And I'll make this recommendation to people that do live videos, right? Even I'm working on it, so I'm not perfect, but if you ever do live videos, remember, a small percentage of the people that are going to listen to the video are listening to it live, okay? More people are going to listen to it when it's no longer live, right? And in most cases, there's could be some exceptions, but in most cases. So make sure when you read comments, just a recommendation, I would suggest saying the name of the person saying the comment, and then read the comment, and then answer it, right? And then go from there so people understand what the hell you're talking about. So that is self-evaluation that I've done on myself, going back and listening to videos. Like I'll go back and then I'm like, oh man, it sounds like I'm answering a question, but it's like, don't just read something and then respond to it because you're going to lose people, okay? Because they don't know what the hell you just read. It makes sense to you. So you just read it. It could make sense to people watching live on the chat, but it doesn't make sense to people that are listening to it on archive later on. Just a quick suggestion that even I'm working on right now. Anyway, Centurion's son, are you going to buy the pay-per-view? Actually, because of my job, I get the pay-per-view for free. And no, not stream. I get it free. All right? But even though I'm getting it free, I don't think I'm going to be home to watch it. I want to watch this fight at a bar with a bunch of McGregor fans all over the place. That's what I want. I hope there's a bunch of meathead, tap-out T-shirt wearing McGregor fans out there. Just because I just want to see them get mad. I want to see them get mad. All right? I want to see them lose their heads. They lose their minds and shit. I want to, I marked my words. This is going to be McGregor fans during the fight. Just hit him. Oh, why isn't he throwing? Damn it. Why isn't McGregor just throwing? Floyd's right there. Floyd's right there. Just throw. Just throw. Mark my words. So I want to watch the fight at a bar. I really do. I want to see the pandemonium at the start, and then maybe even record the whole thing, like round by round, what's happening at the bar, and just seeing how they start dying down, and see how upset they are as the fight progresses, and then when the fight's over, seeing what they say. So I want to experience that atmosphere. It's just not I'm not intrigued by the actual fight, you know. So I'm not going to, you know, like watch it at home. Like, and it's not that type of fight to me. So I want to watch this fight. It's an event. I want to go to a bar. I want to see it there. Rascalot 222. I love talking about Floyd because Floyd almost get butt hurt. Rascalot 222 also says, it's sad people waited to talk about boxing when it's a fake fight. Well, like I said, when there's chaos, you got to take the opportunity, man. Right? Like, it never occurred to me that so few people knew anything about the boxing glove until Haplo and I did a video. And I really suggest people go back. And by the way, we don't just talk about this fight. We don't just address the people that are ignorant about the boxing glove. We talked about the history of boxing, the history of the boxing glove. I mean, that's as detailed and historical as you can get when it comes to boxing, you know. And that was a boxing lesson in a historical sense, you know. And I hope you guys can find that video and share it. All right. Anyway, good Robert Mingo. He said two derogatory terms, which I'm not going to say. Well, I don't think penis is a derogatory term, but I don't understand what your point is. Okay. Rascalot 222. Fans are stupid. This fight brought out the dumbest casuals. He continues, Rascalot 222. In no way in hell will a MMA fighter beat a top 10, a top 15, hell, top 20 boxer in boxing rules. Well, Rascalot 222, I agree. Right? I agree with that. And there might be some anomalies, some, you know, there's just such thing as a special athlete. Okay. But for the most part, yes, I agree. Okay. I definitely agree with you. Especially transitioning immediately, because there's two different sports, you know, and the proof in that. And again, I feel bad for Mike Perry. He's collateral damage here, but Mike Perry lost to a guy. He got knocked out by a guy that's ranked 150th in the world in boxing. And if you don't believe me, you guys can go look that up. Okay, write it down. Platinum Mike Perry, UFC. Look him up. And then look up Mike Perry boxing debut. He's 0-1 in boxing. Good Robert Mingo. Connor's going to knock him out within 4 rounds. Mark my words. Ain't even on the boat. All right. I'm not even on the boat. All right. Confident Conor McGregor fan saying he's going to knock out Floyd in 4 rounds. Wow. All right, Rascalot 222. Donald Trump versus Little Yachty. Okay. Rascalot 222. Yeah. Bullock all day. Ice Stream fights for free. Mac all day. All right. Frank Bevan. Better boxing match equals GGG versus Canelo. I agree. Combat fight equals Floyd versus Conor. Frank Bevan continues. Are spinning back fists allowed in a Conor fight? And he continues. Mike Perry, a total knob-in MMA fighter, only in name. Well, Mike Perry is, what is he, 10-1 in MMA? I know some dudes are 16-10 in MMA, and they're called legends. I mean, so I don't know. You don't know what Mike Perry's going to do in the long run. You just don't know. I wouldn't say that yet. But here's my point. He's ranked 14th, I believe, in the UFC. 14th. And he got knocked out by a dude ranked 150th in boxing. All right? So all I'm saying is put it in perspective, right? Now, to answer your question, spinning back fists allowed? No, they're not. And let me tell you what spinning back fists are not allowed in boxing, okay? The reason spinning back fists are not allowed in boxing is because you could hit an opponent with the elbow, and hitting with the elbow is illegal in boxing, okay? You could also hit an opponent with your wrist, okay? And that's the reason it's not allowed, okay? The only punch that I'm aware of that Conor McGregor can throw is this Superman punch. But the Superman punch, I mean, knock yourself out, but it's not effective in boxing, okay? It's not effective whatsoever. You use, even I know this, you need to use a kick to set up to be more effective, or at least have the ability to throw kicks to be more effective with a Superman punch, right? All right, Frank Bevan, that's your opinion. Present as fact. Conor moves different to all MMA fighters, he says. Frank Bevan says MMA community is pushing back against the boxing community. Frank Bevan continues, we even told Conor didn't stand a chance against all fighters he's fought. Frank Bevan really believes in Conor McGregor, right? Now, when you guys say, like, remember, guys, when you say you don't know what you're talking about, I don't know, quote me or tell me what I'm talking, because I said a lot of things. So, but if we're speaking in general, I don't know what I'm talking about. Look, the fight's gonna happen, guys. So it's at the end of the day, the fight's gonna happen, right? You're saying I don't know what I'm talking about. Conor's gonna knock him out in 4 rounds. Everybody's always doubted him in his sport, by the way. But everybody's doubted him, and nobody believed, and he's been proving people wrong time and time again. I mean, keep in mind, man. I mean, Conor's been in the UFC what, 2 years? I mean, it's he's not the only guy in the UFC with a winning record. Like, or is in a winning streak. He's not. But if that makes you look, if it makes you sleep better at night, telling yourself that Conor's gonna knock him out in 4 rounds, and you tell me to break it down technically, you guys can't break it down technically, all right? What are you talking about? I keep hearing he moves differently than other MMA fighters. All right, well then are you saying that he boxes more like a boxer? Because the argument is he moves like an MMA fighter, and that's what's gonna throw, Mayweather off. So which one is it? Like when you say he moves differently, elaborate. Tell me what you mean by that. Right? That's all I ask. Just tell me what you mean by that. It's the reality is Conor McGregor is going to have a dude in front of him that has thrown more jabs in his life than Conor's thrown anything. Floyd's probably thrown more jabs in his lifetime than Conor's done anything in his life. And that's just the truth, folks. And what do you mean by MMA community is pushing back against the boxing community? Please elaborate. Jamie Williams, Frank Edgar moves different. John Jones moves different. What's your point? Yeah, no one guy moves the same. Like, like this idea that it's actually the MMA dudes that are saying all boxers are the same. Like, no one boxer in any combat sport, or no one fighter, I'm sorry, in any combat sports moves the same, right? Someone put Mendez, Holloway, Aldo, Alvarez, Diaz. How often do we see a boxer fight an MMA fighter? I actually did a video about boxers that have gone to MMA. You may want to check that out, right? I'll refer you to that, buddy. Jimmy Williams said, I remember his entrance into the UFC came with all this hype. Who said that he couldn't beat those guys? Frank Berman says, everybody in the MMA community said he couldn't win. Yet he a 4-belt champ. 4 belts? All right, that other little promotion in the UK, I think that's what you're referring to. One punch is all it takes, says Frank Bevan. One punch is all it takes, he says. Biggest fight in the history of combat sport. And we ain't going to talk about it. Yeah, a lot of Conor McGregor fans say this is the biggest fight in the history of combat sports. Leonard Allerby, not the real Leonard Allerby, says, I really hope Mayweather doesn't play around and go easy on McGregor. It will make our sport look bad. I agree with that. Jamie, well, it depends. It depends how he's playing around, and, I'm just saying. Jimmy Williams, no, you're wrong. Not everyone said he couldn't win against those guys. The odds were close when he fought Aldo. Like, you guys are insane, man. Frank Bevan says Conor's always been the underdog. Actually, wasn't he the favorite against others? I could be wrong, but Jimmy, it will take more than one punch. Conor rarely knocks anyone out with one punch. He continues. No, he hasn't. He's been hyped from the start. Frank Biven, hype, but his record is KO/TKO. He got hands. Jimmy Williams, these guys are going back and forth. He may have been underestimated, but so have most great fighters. He has no hands compared to Mayweather. Frank Biven, so he agrees he's a great fighter. And he says, you're drunk. Conor way harder puncher than Floyd. Jimmy Williams says, of course, Conor's a great fighter. Then LB, D-Style, you got a couple of McGregor fans in the chat. I could see that now. Jimmy Williams, Canelo and Corrales hit harder than Floyd. So? And he says, but they ain't Conor, though. Leonard Hellerby says, D-Style, I would enjoy your live streams, live or in archive. Keep them coming. Jimmy Williams, Frank, you're actually underestimating Mayweather. Guruga. D-Style live streams are epic. What's up, bro? Frank Bevan, geezer, I grew up watching Mayweather. I ain't underestimating Floyd. All right. The Mobber, thoughts on Paulinina's moaning and complaining about Conor's camp. Bitter bitch. Me and Joe Abib did a video about that. Check it out. Go to my my videos. Me and Joe Abib talk about Paulie Malignaggi. It's titled Still Talking About the Conor McGregor Sparring. I definitely refer you to that video. Check it out, bro. It just, I want Conor to win, says Frank Bevan. I could tell, bro. I could tell you want him to win. Jimmy Williams, boxing is on trial, but the representative is one of the best to ever do it. I agree. Frank Bevan, fuck all to do with boxing versus MMA. It's to do with picking the underdog, says Frank Bevan. He just wants to pick the underdog, like Rocky. It's like when Rocky fought Apollo, right? Jimmy Williams, I want the better boxer to win. When it comes to boxing, Floyd is the truth. Mobber retracted his message. Jimmy Williams, look at the MMA channels. They've been shitting on boxing for years. Frank Bevan says, ain't no way in hell Buster Douglas beats Tyson. Jimmy Williams says, Buster Douglas was a boxer. Frank Bevan, on the 26th, we're going to see. The Mobber, MMA has been right to shit on boxing. It's not even proper fighting, he says. The more intriguing style of fighting is MMA, just facts. Boxing dick riders just can't accept that their sport is being crushed. I'm going to address the mobster comment a little bit, but I got a bunch of comments to get to here, guys. Jimmy Williams. Yup, but I've been here 49 times, same results. Jimmy Williams, it's more intriguing to you. The Mobber put, I call him the mobster, the Mobber, I'm sorry. The majority of the population, he says. Frank Bevan says, Superman punch with a big smile on his face. He wants Conor McGregor to use the Superman punch and knock out Floyd Mayweather. Isn't that right, Frank Bevan? Jimmy Williams says, boxing has a bigger amateur divisions. Boxing is in the Olympics. MMA is not. Frank Bevan, seen people with KO with a Superman punch. Yeah, well, you never seen it in boxing, and there's a reason for that. I can tell you that. Jimmy Williams says the majority of the population watches football, basketball, and boxing, not MMA. Frank Bevan, Conor been boxing since he was 6, been MMA fighting since he was 18. The Mobber, so what if it's got amateurs? So what if boxing has Olympics? Yeah, so what? Like, so what? It's still not as legit a fighting form as MMA is. I'm just stating facts here. Have your amateurs, have the Olympics. Congrats. Jimmy Williams, dude, that's your opinion, but MMA guys use boxing more than wrestling. Frank Bevan, Lomachenko moves like Conor. Lomachenko moves like Conor. Bruh. Lomachenko's been moving like that when he won those 2 Olympic gold, right? He's been moving like that for years, Lomachenko, right? Kidding me? Jimmy, this style is making a point to Frank Bevan about movement. The Mobber, the champ is coming for the peanuts head. All right, let's address this, the Mobber's comment. I'm going to go back and read the comment, okay? MMA has been, the Mobber said, MMA has been right to shit on boxing. It's not even proper fighting. The more intriguing style of fighting is MMA. Just facts. Boxing dick riders just can't accept the fact that the sport is being crushed. Okay, let's address this, okay? And really quick, Jimmy wants to know what moves like Lomachenko. Well, let me say this. Conor doesn't move like Lomachenko. He wishes he could move like Lomachenko in the boxing ring. Well, that's it. All right? Let me address this, okay? I don't know how many times I have to say this, and I want all boxing fans to remember this, okay? Professional boxing, right, is older than your fucking granddaddy, okay? Professional boxing. And I want you guys, and Mr. Mauber, I want you to listen. Listen to me, okay? Professional boxing started as which MMA, okay? You could wrestle, you could grapple, you could throw elbows, you could throw knees, you could take it to the ground, you could fight standing up, right? If you go even more back, they even used weapons at one point. And then they started implementing rules. Promoters started noticing that people would boo, okay, or want to show up to fights that ended up in the ground. They started noticing that people really started liking the fist fighting, right? And eventually it evolved into what you see today. Professional boxing, once Marquess of Queensberry, first the London Prize rules and Marquess of Queensberry were established, okay? It was limited, and it was limited by design, okay? In other words, it was designed that way, all right? So when you say, well, boxing, they don't throw elbows, they don't throw knees, they don't wrestle, they don't kick, they don't scream, right? Well, that's because they got rid of that in boxing. Boxing removed that on purpose, by design, for entertainment purposes, all right? And whether you like it or you don't, that same evolution right now is occurring in your sport. I mean, look, they're even developing boxing skills like Conor McGregor, right? And they're being effective with it because once they neutralize the ground game of their opponents, they're able to utilize the stand-up, right? That's what started happening. Like there was all these, stalemates in the ground and fights weren't getting anywhere. So they were standing them up and making them fight with their fists, okay? And at the time, they would wear like these steel boots and they would fight like on dirt, like in the ground, okay? And kicks weren't developed when humans like they are today. They were like in Asia, but we hadn't been exposed to that yet, right? Not to that level. And even though there was Asian people that lived in England at the time, those were secrets to them. Those were sacred secrets. They weren't going to be telling the white man how to kick like that, right? So my only point is, right, is that you may think it's an insult to tell boxing, well, it's not real fighting. It's not a real fight. Like, what's a real fight? You tell me what a real fight is? What's your definition of a real fight? Is your definition of a real fight a rest time two guys say get ready? Is the definition of a real fight two guys actually have a training camp and watch film of each other and all that? Is definition of a real fight where you have weight classes? Is a definition of a real fight, where we have rules, because both sports have rules? Sure. I mean, it's boxing has more rules because it's designed to have more rules, right? But they both have rules. A real fight. You know what happens in the streets? People pull out knives, dude. Okay? People have fucking guns in the street. Okay? Like what does that mean? A real fight? What the fuck does that mean? Why not a sword fighter? Why not dudes that why can't we include a knife in quote unquote real fighting? Why not? So I mean, don't get me wrong, I know what you mean. Right, hand-to-hand combat. I get that. Now if you want to argue which is more entertaining, well, look, man, let me just put it to you this way, right? I think both sports have had exciting fights. Both sports have. But, look, this is my opinion, man, but I've never seen, okay, like a Corrales versus Castillo one. Okay, like I never seen something like that in MMA, right? Not even close, right? Not even close. I never seen a Barrera Morales type fight in MMA. Okay, I just haven't, right? And yes, people have sent me like and I'm not saying they're not exciting, but nothing like that. Nothing like that, bro. Nothing, right? And this whole like, oh well, the MMA community, they have every right to criticize boxing. It's not real fighting. It's boxing, not fighting. Oh no, it's not fighting. Then what? They're not playing, right? Like you don't call boxers players like you do in the NFL, right? Like we could call guys that play soccer players. We could play like every other sport. You could call them players. Tennis player. A fighter's a fighter. If it's a combat sport, they're a fighter, right? Period. Just saying. Anyway, there's more. The Mobber says, yeah, I understand what you're talking about these styles. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. I probably should have rephrased that, said boxing less appealing to many because there's much less you can do. All right, let's see. Just one has gloves on, ready to take his leg and choke him. Yeah, he did. All right, guys, I'm going to say this one time, right? I'm just going to be very, very honest here. I want to just on my channel, this all this race shit, you leave it out of my channel, okay? I'm just going to be honest right now. Okay? That's warning number one. No race talk. No, none of that bullshit. Not on this channel, right? I'm going to tolerate that. I'm just not. And then that shit gets out of hand, I might just stop reading comments. Okay? I'm just being honest. All right, yeah, I know I'm skipping through some comments here, but let's move on. The Mobber, hey, bro, I think it's cool you're reading those comments and not just hating on everyone's stuff. Other channels would avoid any type of criticism and stuff like that. I respect you, brother. All right, Frank Bevan, because Floyd didn't want to step in the octagon. Frank Bevan, boxing been in martial arts for thousands of years. Oh, really? Hawker Mustang, Vasil Lomachenko spars with UFC and TJ Dillashaw. I think they are friends. Tone, how can anyone favor McGregor against Floyd, who is a modern great in this discipline? Skill-wise, they're worlds apart in this discipline of boxing. McGregor has a puncher's chance at best. Frank Bevan, that's all. That's what makes this interesting. Jamie Williams, well, Conor has balls to face Mayweather in the ring. He knows he's at a disadvantage. Frank Bevan, Conor for all the women Floyd beat. Wow. Frank Bevan, Floyd equals anything goes. Real fight equals anything goes. Anything goes. So I'll get a fucking shotgun and I'll just shoot, John Jones in the head, and then I'm the best fighter in the world. All right. Jimmy Williams. Well, Floyd's fighting for all the boxing fans. Oh, and all right. Frank Bevan, no wait till I get my boxing gloves on. Jimmy Williams, a fight has no rules. All right, I'm going to read all those comments. Jimmy Williams says Navy SEALs are real fighters. Frank Bevan, Navy SEALs going to combat with gloves on. 10 ounce. I don't think they do. What? Okay, the mobber. Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. These sites. Once again, my thoughts out there. Probably should have rephrased what I said. Boxing less appealing to many because there's much less you can do. Somebody said, "Yep," and they could go in a game plan. Frank Bevan, boxing god rules, no ear biting. The mobber. There's plenty of wars in MMA that happen that I could compare to wars in boxing. Lawler versus McDonald, Diaz versus McGregor too. Jimmy Williams. Both sports are great. Why all the hate? The mobber. Where's the hate? I'm definitely not hating. I'm just having a normal discussion. Tone says to Jimmy Williams, "You're right." Learn Alibi. MMA's biggest fight in history, second place in the boxing ring. Enough said. All right, guys. So, well, it's a lot of comments. But look, in your opinion, those fights are up there. Corrales Castillo. Okay. I saw those fights too, right? I did. I saw McGregor versus Diaz too. It was a fun fight to watch. I'm not gonna say it wasn't exciting, but I mean, if you want to call it one of the best fights of all time, I mean that's fine. But I personally am not, especially when McGregor, I mean, gassed out in the third round, bro. Like, the dude was running. Okay, they want to call Floyd a runner. This dude turned around and started running. Like literally, he ran. While Diaz pointed at him and laughed. Like he was running like around the octagon. Like the definition of running. Okay? His knees coming all the way to the air and the other knee to the air. Like that type of running. You could probably call it jogging. But he was, running around the ring. All right, now, first of all, let's keep it real, right? If the most Mayweather could make was 20 million in a boxing ring, and he was offered 300 million or 200 million to fight in the octagon, and that's the only way he could do it, I think he would go take that ass whooping. I really do, right? But we all know it's the other way around, right? Like we know it's the other way around. So it's just the way it is, okay? The boxing model allows fighters to make more money. It just does. It's just the way the boxing model is built, right? The maximum potential they could make, it's just the boxing model allows guys to make more money. That's why a lot of UFC fighters want to box on the side because they can make a lot of money. First of all, they'll be able to use their sponsors. So that's number one. Second of all, right, they could get a promoter's license, all right, and they'll get a bigger cut out of the whole purse, right? They're not able to do that in MMA, right? They're not able to do that. You're not going to see McGregor Sports and Entertainment on a banner for a fight. You only see that he got it in a boxing fight, but he didn't ever get that in the UFC. Right? So the model is completely different. That's number one, right? So that's why it's happening in a boxing fight. And also, look, everybody's gonna like what they look. I'm not here to change anybody's minds, okay? Like if you like MMA better than boxing, then it is what it is, bro. Like I'm not here to change your mind. But blanket statements like, well, MMA is harder because blank. Look, let me just say this, right? In a boxing fight, what you may see as easy because they only do quote unquote one thing. Now, what happens when you're getting your ass whooped in a boxing ring? And that's the only thing you can rely on. Well, it gets a little interesting, doesn't it? Right? The strategy is different in boxing. Just everything about boxing. So there's so many things that are different that I personally find intriguing. Okay. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not here to convince anybody otherwise. I really am not. Right? But I wanted to say the following. Okay. MMA in general. Okay. And I don't care what anybody says. In order for MMA to improve, then all other combat sports have to improve, right? the better boxing gets and the better boxing techniques get, then that's going to benefit MMA because they're going to be able to use those techniques more in MMA. The better Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu techniques get and get advanced, the better for MMA because they're going to be able to take some of that. The better kickboxing gets, the better Muay Thai gets. Okay? The reality is mixed martial arts benefits from the direct stylistic combat sports. Okay? It just does. It always has, right? It directly, let me put it this way. If, let's say boxing would have died like in 1990, okay? And let's say like literally died. Like nobody was practicing boxing anymore, right? That would mean that nobody would be practicing boxing at all anymore, right? So you wouldn't have boxing coaches in MMA. And guys would still be throwing windmill punches with their eyes closed in MMA, right? They got a big head start on how to throw proper punches because they started hiring boxing coaches, kickboxing coaches, people who specialize in just striking. And they learned it from them, right? That's just the truth. That's just the absolute truth. And that's it, right? Also, something else I want to address. And this is something I don't believe people understand. And I understand because I don't know how many of you guys play chess, but I love the game of chess, okay? And I met Tito Ortiz said something, and I immediately I knew this guy doesn't play chess, okay? And he said, and a lot of MMA fans say this too. Well, boxing is like checkers and MMA is like chess because in chess you could move pieces differently. There's so many pieces to move and they all move in a different direction. That's not like the fact that you could throw pieces in different, like move them in different directions. That's not what the analogy is about. Okay, it's about the strategy. All right, the strategy, controlling the center of the board and creating traps and stuff like that. That's the analogy. Okay, outsmarting the opponent. You know that's where the analogy comes from. All right, but anyway. All right, getting a bunch of Floyd 36 million, 300 million. Ronda got whooped by boxer Holly Holmes. I forgot about that too. Like, boxing is the only one of the two that has had a world champion in both sports. Like, I'm just saying. And I was like, she's not even in her prime anymore, Holly Holm. Right? They were talking about Floyd being old. Like, she's old. She's getting up there in age. Anyway. So I say I love Rousey, but she was mishandled. Ronda was a silver medalist. Yes, she was. Anyways, guys, I do got to roll. Okay. I got to roll here. I got some shit I got to take care of. Okay. Thanks for all you guys that joined me on here. Right. Don't forget to like the video. Right. Don't forget about that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably be on tonight. I'm not sure yet. Okay. Somebody just put, Frank Bevan put, if Floyd loses, we get a trilogy fight. Who fucking knows? But I don't think Floyd's going to lose. With that said, this is DStyleBoxing. Keep it boxing.